Hello everybody, welcome to our channel Forkin Delicious, and where we're going to show you how to make tasty dishes that are not really complicated and maybe require a bit of prep work, but that's about it. I'm JJ Healy, and with me is...
I am Noel.
And on the camera and sound and all things media we have
Sean O'Connell.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to film what we're making, and we're going to explain to you what we're doing, and you'll see the finished dish, and hopefully you might give these dishes a go. All right. I'm going to start with this aubergine here. So what we're making, the first dish we're making is an aubergine and goat's cheese tart, and that's going to be like, you could use it as a starter, you could have it as the main course, you could use it as a filling for something, for like a pie or stuff. So there's a lot of uses for it. And that's when we make dishes, we like to think that we can do more with the stuff that we make. All right. So with this one, I'm just going to take off the end. So aubergines, you have to be really careful with them. As you can see, we have some prep done here in front of us. But aubergines you can't do until you're ready to cook them, because they'll oxidize too quickly. So now, split them in half. And then what we're going to do is, I'm just going to rub some lemon juice on them for a second, because it'll just stop them from oxidizing, and it'll give me a second or two to put in the garlic that I want to put in. All right. Now, I have some garlic slices here just soaking in some olive oil. All right. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use a small knife just to make little cut in the aubergine, just like that. And then I'll push in these in here. All right. So you don't have to be too exact with it, but this garlic is part of the flavor of this aubergine paste that we're going to make. All right. So, and like I said, you can see it's starting to go brown already. So they oxidize really quickly. So when you're doing them for anything, even for ratatouille or something, just do them at the last minute. Have everything else ready, and then work your way along. So when I've these done, I'm just going to sprinkle some oil, a little bit of salt and pepper on them, and they're going to go into a hot oven. I'm going to bake them so that the flesh will come away from the skin, and they'll actually just mince up naturally with the garlic. So, and I'm going to use this oil that's in here to soak them. Now, the one thing about aubergines is they're like a sponge. All right. They continuously soak up stuff, but then they give it back to you later. So you have to be a little bit careful. Sometimes you see that baba ganoush and it's kind of grey, isn't it? You know what I mean? So this is kind of like a version of this, but not quite. So this just makes a very tasty filling. So now I have these ready. So onto a tray. And what I'm going to do here is this garlic oil. I'm just going to kind of anoint them all. Each of them, a little bit of garlic, and then I'm just going to put some pepper. This look okay to you? Yeah. Okay. And some salt. So this is a bit of Himalayan salt, pink salt. Now, so that's that dish ready to start. That's going to go into a very hot oven for about 25-30 minutes. And in the meantime, we can be getting everything else ready.
Okay, so the next thing that we're going to work on is a red onion and chili jam. This has multiple uses for this. It's going to be on the side with the tart as a nice garnish, but you could use it for the likes of sandwiches, even with just some sausages. You'd throw it in with your gravy to make a nice spicy onion gravy. So all I have here first is some sliced red onions. I'm going to put them into this pot with a little bit of oil. So you kind of want a high heat starting out. Then the next thing to go in is just some diced chilies and garlic. Right there now. Now you want to give these a few minutes to get going, just to get some nice caramelization on them. So while that's on the go, So then for our tart cases, this is just a short crust pastry that we had made. I rolled it out into a disc slightly bigger than the tin that I used to bake them in. And once they were in the greased molds, I just put a small bit of baking parchment with some rice on top of it to stop the rise from happening. As you can see, it kind of started to happen here at the edges. But that's all right. It makes it look like it is homemade instead of something that's shop bought. But even in terms of shop bought stuff, you could use shop bought short crust pastry.
Yeah, short crust pastry. Even if you want to, you could use puff pastry.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to be careful how you cook it and let it dry out.
Yeah.
Because the mix is kind of wet, so you have to make sure that you're putting the stuff, you know, into a nice dry. Like these are nicely baked. So this is an induction cooker as well. So this is faster than gas, and you have to keep an eye on it because of how quickly it cooks. And you have to, you know, kind of just keep your eye on it gently. But it is a really fast way of cooking, even faster than gas. So these are nearly sweating down now and starting to get that little bit of sweetness, aren't they?
Yeah, you can even see they're starting to get a small bit of caramelization.
Yeah.
Just there.
So what we do is we'll just leave it non-stirred for a minute.
Yeah.
And now you're ready to get the rest of the stuff in.
Yeah. So then this is just some tomato puree. I'm going to add in about a heaped teaspoon's worth. And inside in here then is just the red wine vinegar and the sugar. Just make sure you give it a good stir to dissolve the sugar and stop it from sticking to the inside of it, because it's going to be needed for this. So there now, let's add it in.
The sugar is going to like add the syrup to this jam, like the jam factor in it. And the vinegar is helping to control the balance of flavour between sweet and sour. All right. Now onions are very sweet as well, so you need that bit of vinegar just to.
We're going to add some salt later, but you don't want to add it too soon because it's going to draw the moisture out of the onions and stop that syrup from being created in it.
Yeah. We should turn this down and let it simmer for the next maybe 20 minutes, just while we're getting everything else ready. Yeah. All right. Now, normally you could make this jam ahead of time. You could have it made, and it would keep in the fridge for 3 months.
Easily.
All right.
Anything that's high in sugar, vinegar, or salt,
kind of like a natural preservative.
is essentially preserved.
Yeah. So we're just going to turn that down. We're going to let it simmer. The next part of this is there's kind of like a couple of steps to this. We're making the aubergine filling, which is in the oven, the aubergine paste, garlic paste. And now we're going to make a sofrito, I call it. But it's just like a reduction with tomatoes, lots of tomato and lots of flavour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook this with a little bit of oil. So you can. So what I have here is just some diced red onion and some garlic. Now some people like the garlic minced. If you do mince it, I kind of like it being a little bit kind of sort of large dice, because I like the flavour of it. I like to see it as well. And you can see how fast this pan heats up on the induction cooker. It's really quick to heat up. All right. So there's this going on, and the next things that we have, I'll just talk about these for a minute or two, is that what we have over here is it's just sun-dried tomatoes, and we've just liquidized it with the oil that it comes in. All right, and that adds a massive umami flavor to the mix, and then also, because tomatoes have natural umami, we have some cherry tomatoes. And what we've done with these is we just put these into the oven with some oregano, some black pepper, a little bit of salt. And what we've done, we just roasted them in the oven for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes.
Yeah. And what happens is they get a real enhancement of flavour, don't they? Like it's kind of that.
You're almost concentrating.
Yeah, you're almost concentrating it. So then we also have some chopped tin tomatoes, and we have some tomato puree. So now these are getting a nice little colour, but we actually want them to soften as well. That's the one thing that people seem to confuse is when they cook something, they think that if it's brown or caramelized, it's cooked, but it's not necessarily so. Sure, it's not. And especially for onions, you want to draw out that sweetness. So, like even for this one here that we're cooking, this is coming a lovely colour now, and it's softened really well. All right. So now these are coming along nice. Lovely. And there's a lovely smell off of these now as well. So what we do is we put in the puree next because it'll just help to make it mix. So there's about 2 tablespoons there. The recipes are in the description and you can have a look at that. So I'll put in the and this is like just tripling the flavor, like really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like being super concentrating the flavor. So you get this real bang of taste when you have it. And it goes really well with the goat's cheese as well. Yeah. So this is the sofrito. So what you need to do now with this is I need to do the same as the chili jam here. And I need to let this cook down and sort of simmer gently for a while. And then I'll season it at the end because sometimes, you know, tomato puree has some salt in it, and sun-dried tomatoes can be seasoned as well, you know, sometimes. And also we seasoned the roast cherry tomatoes when we were doing them. So we'd be looking to try and balance the seasoning at the end rather than throwing it in now at say like the beginning. All right. So I'm going to turn this down to about 5 on this. I still wanted kind of to simmer and bubble, same as this here is happening with the chili jam. So we could show you that there, so you can see that it's starting to cook down, and that will become as more of that liquid disappears, that'll become a nice little syrup. Yeah. You know, it'll become a lovely sort of like I don't know,
almost like a jam.
Almost like a jam or an oil.
Consistency of a jam.
Yeah, consistency of a jam. Yeah. So this then is going to get this sofrito then is going to cook down. And what we're going to do is we're going to take out the aubergine when it's ready, and we're going to add this to it, right? We're going to add the flesh into this, and then this will go into this mix will go into the cases, and we'll fill them generously, and then we'll put some goat's cheese on top, and we'll put them in the oven just for literally 5 minutes.
5 minutes. It's really just enough to melt the goat's cheese.
To even warm the goat's cheese. You could even blow torch it if you wanted to, you know. And what we do then is we'll plate that, and we'll show you how you can plate it and serve it. So we have some herb oil. So we've made a little bit. So you might explain, Noel, how you made that.
Right. So this here is just a bit of a herb oil. We're going to use this as a garnish. You can make this with pretty much any fresh herbs that you have around. So inside in this, I have a small bit of basil,
coriander,
some of the coriander, and some of the parsley that's down the far end. It's just a case of picking the leaves off any of the big stalks, because with the amount of time that you're going to be blending it for, that isn't going to break down properly. So I just put all the herbs roughly chopped with a small bit of olive oil into a blender and gave it 20 seconds. That's the kind of consistency you're looking for. It's almost like a pesto without the nuts and the cheese.
Yeah. And also you have no seasoning in that, have you? No. So like the seasoning, when you can put a little bit of sprinkle of seasoning on the plate afterwards if you want, but it doesn't need it. The herb oil is full of flavour, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and you'll have enough salt between this, the cheese, you know, between everything. They'll all balance out together nicely. Yeah. All right. So this jam is kind of cooking down nicely now. The aubergines, I think, are nearly ready. I'm just going to check them. All right. So. Yep, they're ready. Now, and again, put the tin foil on here to help with the washing up later on, the cleaning up, because you can just discard it, and because otherwise it does tend to, you know, if you do it on the tray, it'll burn down into it a small bit. You can also see here now that the SOFRITO Noel has given it a stir. You can see it's becoming that nice paste, all right, and that's what we're looking for. These are actually really good now because the flesh is not tearing off that much. You with me? Sometimes you can have an awful time with these. They can just be breaking in little bits and it takes you ages to get it done, but it is tasty at the end of it. But you can see how hot they are. You see with the steam. See the nice colour got on it, all right, and the flesh is lovely and soft. Look, I've just taken off the other three as I was doing it. It can be forking hard to do, right, because they're so forking hot, right? But you just have to kind of, if you take them off while they're hot, it's much easier, all right? So you're taking that skin off into the SOFRITO mix. Now, thank you. Now.
All right, so this onion jam is finished now. That's kind of the consistency that you're looking for, the way that it's kind of, the onion is starting to go a little bit glossy in the sugar.
So we're kind of ready now to put it together, so leave that there. You can leave the spoon in it. That can go over here, that can go to you, and you can start putting these together, all right? So we have the 4 tartlets. We're going to put the SOFRITO and aubergine mix into them now. Red onion and chili jam. It's lovely with cheese and crackers, you know, really tasty. We have 4 these. I love the slices because I think it looks really cool. But it can also depend on the cheese, how fresh it is, how mature it is, and will it allow you to cut it into slices. So this is just about. And then what we're going to do, the other one, is we're going to break them and just crumble it in. So they're ready to go into the oven now. We have this left here. So this is beautiful on as like a bruschetta, or even as a base for pizza. If you want to use this and some cheese onto pizza into the oven, delicious, all right? And again, this will hold for a good while, won't it not? Well, 4 or 5 days?
Maybe 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days. So it's absolutely a delicious mix. So this is our finished dish. It's an aubergine and goat cheese tart with salad leaves and a red onion and chili jam. And it should taste forkin' delicious.